When it comes to big money signings, Arsenal aren't always the first club you associate with loosening the purse strings and splashing the cash. But with all the money in today's world of football, it's no surprise that the clubs who spend the most are at the top of the game right now. So in the summer, when Alexander Lacazette was bought in for a club record fee of £52 million, was that Arsene Wenger signalling his future intentions to the transfer market, or will he now be back to his frugal ways? Well, Mr. Wenger, Arsenal aren't where they want to be right now, you've got to admit it. So maybe it really is time to go into the transfer window and splash the money. Up first is a short visit down memory lane, where in the summer, Arsenal actually had a bid of around £90 million for Thomas Lemar accepted, but complications in the Alexis Sanchez to Man City deal meant that it all collapsed. 5 months later, and with his name still being linked to Arsenal, although linked to Chelsea as well, Arsenal may have to up their bid. And despite the transfer window not being open for another few days, it seems that Thomas Lemar has practically signed for them with one little giveaway. He's liked a comment on an Instagram post suggesting that he'd move to Arsenal. Cue the absolute meltdown on social media. Second on the list is a player who's only just made his international debut for France, aged 29, but does have lots of experience in the Premier League, and over the last few years at Sevilla has definitely put himself into that bracket of top European players in his position. Having spent 6 years between 2009 and 2015 at Blackburn and Stoke, Steven Nzonzi definitely wouldn't take any time to adjust to the Premier League style of play, something which is a massive plus in his column when it comes to signing someone in the January transfer window. So why would Arsenal sign him? Well, to be perfectly honest, they've lacked a strong, determined, steely midfielder in the spine of their team since the days of Patrick Vieira. Now, I'm not saying Nzonzi could fill Vieira's boots, he's not quite at that level, but he'd do a damn good job at it, much better than the likes of Xhaka, Coquelin and Ramsey have done. Now, for Arsene Wenger to spend £30 million on a player seems unlikely, and at the age of 29 seems even more unlikely. However, he's going to have to do it if he's to get Arsenal back to where they want to be. So in sticking with the theme of Arsenal lacking aggression, physical dominance and top defensive players, this next January signing could see them steal a key player from one of their biggest rivals. Not only would the signing of David Luiz from Chelsea be a statement of intent, it would also show that Arsenal can compete when it comes to attracting the top players. There are two deciding factors in this transfer though, so let's go through them. Firstly, Arsenal's defence is crying out for a top player. Per Mertesacker is ageing and retiring at the end of the season. Nacho Monreal is a converted left back, although he's doing an okay job. Laurent Koscielny is always in and out of the injury room, and with players like Rob Holding showing early promise but not quite being the finished article yet. Oh no, I did so well. And whilst Rob Holding has shown early signs of promise, he's not quite the finished article yet either. So with all that said, would Chelsea let him go? And this brings me on to my second point. So let's look at Chelsea's back line. They have Cesar Azpilicueta as captain and a defensive mainstay. Andreas Christensen has stepped in and done well enough to be offered a new contract. Gary Cahill seems still like a reasonable player for Chelsea. Anthony Rudiger has done fantastically well since his summer signing, and on top of all that, they still have Kurt Zouma returning from loan from Stoke come the end of the season. So, with all that cover and those quality young players, it looks like David Luiz isn't needed at Chelsea as much as he may like to think. We're now at number 4 on this list, and we're staying in London for a potential transfer. With his unique style of dribbling and that blistering pace, Wilfried Zaha has all the skills to be a match winner, something which Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace have seen on numerous occasions this year. But could he really cut it at Arsenal's level? After starting his career at Crystal Palace, Zaha got the dream move to a top club when Man United came calling. However, after only 1 season and just 2 Premier League appearances, including a loan at Cardiff, he was back with the Eagles. Does this mean that he's found his level at Palace and shouldn't really be pushing for a top club? No, absolutely not. It would be ridiculous to judge a young 21-year-old on 1 season at Man United where he didn't even get enough game time. He's definitely a player with abundance of talent and could be someone who could change a match from a losing to a winning position within a few moves. Zaha's ability could also see him replace a certain player or two that could be leaving the Emirates, which conveniently brings me on to my last topic, It's almost like I wrote this. So lastly on this list, I present to you a pair of signatures which would be the biggest transfer news for Arsenal, even regarding incoming transfers. It's the kind of news that Arsenal fans have been dreaming about. And yes, the biggest signing of the transfer window would be the signing on the contract paper for Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Özil. Despite the fact they'll be free to talk to any club outside of the Premier League in January, Arsene Wenger is probably better off spending his time, effort and resources into signing these two giants for the club. Having one of them leave would be bad enough, but having both of them leave would leave an attacking midfield size hole that even 1,000 Theo Walcotts couldn't fill. Alex Iwobi isn't really at that level, and the likes of Danny Welbeck dropping deep doesn't seem to be the answer either. Signing Zaha would go some way to filling those boots. However, I don't think any club in the world could cope with losing two players of that calibre within the same season. So there's my list of important signings for Arsenal this January transfer window. Do you agree? Or is it absolutely farcical to see them signing someone from Chelsea? Or maybe, did that happen the other way around? Anyway, let me know in the comments below and I'll see you soon.